All right, this is Michael from WG Title in McKinney, and we're going to break down some topics on title terminology to help you understand a little bit more about phrases and words that are used in the industry to understand what they mean and how they might affect your title. The reason why we're talking about this as a homeowner, either a seller, buyer, and also real estate agents and lenders, it's good to know the terminology because it helps you understand quickly without having to go look things up, what you might be dealing with, what might affect your clients or you as a buyer. So these are good tips to wrap your head around and get to know. All right, the first term is access. Most people would think that they have access to their property, which they typically do. This is one thing that title insurance does cover. Keep in mind that access is limited to physical access and not necessarily vehicular access. So you always want to walk the property, especially if you're buying acreage out in the country, to understand how you can access the property. All right, the next topic is an adjustable rate mortgage, which is also called an ARM. These are kind of self-explanatory, but you have to understand your loan program to really know how it can adjust, when it will adjust, and will it adjust constantly or just once or twice during the life of the loan. It's a good idea to go over with your lender well before closing to understand the loan program and how it's going to adjust and affect you in the future. All right, another topic is appraisal. This also applies to your lender. This document is used to value the property to get a good understanding of what it's worth and also comparables in the neighborhood of similar homes and their pricing structure to create a value based on the appraiser's understanding of the market, the area, and the current climate with the real estate industry. All right, another topic is a corrective deed, or what's also known as a correction instrument. The Texas Real Estate Code talks about this in length, and there's been a history of problems with corrections in the past. A few years back, the legislator changed the rules on corrections. Before, you would just file another deed or cross out and correct the original, but now they have different methods and forms on how to do that. If you have interest in correcting a deed or want to know how to correct a deed, please reach out to us. All right, another topic is chain of title. Chain of title is basically what it sounds like. It's the history of who's owned title when and when it changed title and passed to the next person. This is something our title plant does when they do the research on the title examination. They figure out who's owned it with a chain of title. Another topic is exception, and this refers to title insurance when we take an exception to a matter in the title commitment and thus later on in the policy. This is something we don't cover, so think of it as we're going to cover everything except this exception. And this is important to look out for if you're concerned about restrictions, easements, setback lines, building lines, and other matters that might affect your use of the property with your intent later on down the road. All right, another topic is fixtures. This pertains to items in a house that are affixed to the property and actually become part of the real property and not separate property. Things like plumbing, chandeliers, window blinds, things like that are actually affixed to the property. All right, another topic is what's called a due on sale clause. This is built into most loans to protect the lender. And what they're saying is that if you transfer the property, it doesn't have to be a sale per se, but it is a conveyance taking yourself out of title or somewhat out of title. Most lenders don't like this because your deed of trust that secures the mortgage on the property has to be executed by the owners of the property. And when you deed yourself out, you're no longer the owner and it clouds the title with the mortgage. The lenders can come and call the note due just like they would if they foreclosed. So this is something to be wary of if you're going to transfer title and not pay off your mortgage. All right, then we have another topic called eminent domain. This is somewhat of a hot topic and a lot of people get upset or emotional about when things like this happen. The government does have the right to come in and improve property for the right of the public or benefit of the public. So it's important to understand the details in which the government has to follow in order to make this happen. A good example here around our area is a highway called 380, where they're rerouting it to get it out of town a little bit more, and they're having to use eminent domain to take the property from homeowners that don't want to sell. The last one we're going to talk about today is encroachment. So encroachment is basically when an improvement of a property overlaps or intrudes onto a neighboring property. For instance, maybe a fence, a flower bed, or even a small building. Typically, these are seen on a survey, which is why it's important to get a survey to make sure you don't have encroachments on your property or you're not encroaching on somebody else's. So we've just scratched the surface on terms. There's a lot more out there. If you're interested in following us, please subscribe down below, and we'll have another part and maybe even more parts than just 2 to explain all the terminology there is out there for real estate. All right, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time. And then also follow us on our other social media accounts. The links are down below. Thank you.